You are alone at an intersection after midnight. No headlights are coming from either side, yet the signal in front of you remains stubbornly red. It feels as if the machine has looked at an empty road and made the wrong decision. But most traffic lights do not see the intersection the way a person does. They receive a few narrow signals, follow a set of timing rules, and protect movements that cannot safely happen together. To understand that mysterious wait, we need to look inside the decision process. Traffic signal is best understood as a scheduler. At a simple crossroads, northbound traffic conflicts with eastbound traffic. Left turns may conflict with oncoming vehicles. Pedestrians need time to cross lanes that cars will soon use. The controller divides these incompatible movements into phases and decides when each phase may receive a green indication. The simplest intersections run on fixed timing. Their phases follow a repeating plan whether vehicles are present or not. That can be perfectly sensible where traffic is predictable, or where maintaining a regular pattern along a busy road matters more than responding to each isolated car. It also explains the most obvious kind of empty road wait. The signal is not ignoring you. It is simply following a schedule that does not ask whether anyone is there. Many intersections are actuated instead. They use detectors to tell the controller that a vehicle or pedestrian is waiting. An inductive loop cut into the pavement can respond when a large metal object changes its electrical properties. Cameras can define virtual detection zones in the image. Radar and other sensors can also report that a zone is occupied. A push button can place a pedestrian call. The crucial word is call. In a typical system, a detector does not send the controller a rich description of the entire scene. It may simply report that a particular approach or lane is occupied. The controller then combines that limited input with its programmed rules. A camera mounted above the road may look intelligent, but its practical role can be much narrower than watching every vehicle and improvising a perfect response. This is why position matters. Detection zones are normally placed where waiting traffic is expected. A vehicle that stops far short of the intended zone may not produce the call the driver expects. A damaged loop, an obscured camera, poor alignment, or unusual conditions can also produce a missed or persistent detection. From inside the car, all of these cases look similar. The light appears unaware. Once a call exists, the controller still cannot instantly switch the signal. A green phase usually has a minimum green time. That prevents a phase from ending so quickly that traffic cannot start moving properly. If more vehicles keep arriving, a passage or extension setting can hold the phase for a little longer. When the detector no longer reports traffic and the permitted gap expires, the phase can gap out. But demand on one road cannot hold the intersection forever. When an opposing movement is waiting, a maximum time can limit how long the current phase continues. Reaching that limit is often called a max out. In a coordinated system, a force off can end a phase so the intersection returns to the shared schedule. These terms sound mechanical because they are. The controller is continually balancing requests against boundaries. Now consider the moment when green ends. Yellow is not spare green time. It warns that the right-of-way is ending. After yellow, an all-red clearance interval may briefly hold conflicting movements on red before another direction receives green. These intervals are determined through engineering practice and safety requirements. They cannot be discarded just because the intersection seems empty from one windshield. There is another layer inside the cabinet. Alongside the controller is a malfunction monitoring unit, often called a conflict monitor. Its job is to watch the controller and cabinet outputs for unsafe operation. If the equipment tries to display a dangerous combination, the monitoring system is designed to move the signal into a safer failure response instead of trusting a bad command. The machine that grants movement is itself being watched by another machine. Pedestrians add an important reason for apparently unexplained delay. A driver may see no crossing traffic but fail to notice that someone pressed a button moments earlier. Once the pedestrian phase begins, the system has to provide a walk interval and enough clearance time for a person who started crossing at the proper moment. The countdown is not merely a courtesy display. It represents protected time that the controller cannot casually take back when the roadway looks empty. Then there are special requests. Emergency preemption can alter the normal sequence to provide a route for an approaching authorized vehicle. Rail crossings may require their own preemption logic. Transit priority can sometimes extend or advance a phase for a bus. These actions still have to pass through safe clearance steps. A driver arriving afterward may encounter an unusual sequence without ever seeing the event that caused it. So far, we have treated one intersection as an island. Busy roads rarely work that way. Several signals can be coordinated so groups of vehicles move along a corridor with fewer stops. Engineers describe this pattern using cycle length, split, and offset. Cycle length is the time for a full repeating sequence. The split assigns portions of that cycle to different phases. The offset positions one intersection cycle relative to the next. Imagine a group of cars leaving one green light together. They form a moving cluster, sometimes called a platoon. If the next signal's offset matches the travel time, that cluster can arrive during green. The familiar green wave is not one light following one car. It is a chain of clocks arranged around the expected movement of many vehicles. This creates a surprising trade-off. A side street may have no visible cross-traffic, yet its signal can hold your approach briefly because the intersection is preserving its place in the corridor cycle. Giving one driver an immediate green could disturb the progression for a much larger group that is about to arrive. What looks locally wasteful may be part of a broader plan. Coordination is also why driving faster does not reliably beat the system. The offsets are designed around expected travel times, not around a race from one signal to the next. Arriving early can simply mean reaching the next red before the planned green window. The signal is organizing flows, not rewarding the first vehicle to reach the stop line. These plans often change by time of day. A morning pattern may favor travel toward a city center. An afternoon plan may favor the opposite direction. Overnight, an intersection might use a different cycle or rely more heavily on detection. Switching between plans takes a transition, and during that change, the sequence can temporarily feel less predictable. Adaptive systems go further. They collect traffic data, evaluate how the network is performing, adjust timing, and repeat the process. But adaptive does not mean omniscient. Its decisions are only as good as its sensors, objectives, and limits. A system designed to reduce corridor delay may make a different choice from one designed to manage queues or give more equal access to side streets. There is no universal setting that makes every traveler receive green immediately. This reveals the real source of frustration at traffic lights. People judge the signal from one position at one moment. The controller is working with conflicting movements, calls that may have arrived earlier, minimum and maximum times, pedestrian clearance, special events, safety checks, and perhaps a schedule shared with intersections beyond view. Sometimes a long wait really does indicate a problem. A detector can fail to register a vehicle. Another detector can remain stuck on and report traffic that is no longer present. Construction can change lane positions without a perfect matching change to detection. Timing plans can grow outdated as travel patterns change. Agencies use monitoring data and field observations to find these issues because a signal plan is not permanently correct just because it once worked. But the ordinary red light on an empty road is often not a random decision. It may be finishing a minimum phase, honoring a pedestrian call, clearing a previous movement, returning to a coordinated cycle, or responding to information you cannot see. The controller is not trying to minimize one person's weight. It is trying to prevent conflicts while distributing limited time among many competing movements. The next time an empty intersection seems to be holding you for no reason, picture the cabinet beside the road. Inside, a controller is processing calls and clocks. A monitor is checking for unsafe combinations. Farther down the corridor, other controllers are keeping their own place in the same pattern. The red light may still feel inconvenient, but it is no longer mysterious. It is one visible moment in a hidden schedule that keeps an entire network taking turns.